Welcome to the Wealthy Business Goddess Show for purpose-driven, passion-fueled spiritual entrepreneurs ready to live their purpose, passion and prosperity as they create the life and business of their dreams whilst transforming the world, doing what they love and making fabulous money. Each week we bring you inspiring and empowering topics, popular thought leaders to empower you to transform all areas of your life and business. With your host, spiritual intuitive, entrepreneur, transformational business coach and mentor, Kimberly Lovell.
Hi sweethearts, this is Kimberly Lovell here, your host for the Wealthy Business Goddess podcast. I'm super excited to be with you today and to have a wonderful guest. So I'm going to introduce you to Maria Appelqvist. I'm never sure if I pronounce that properly, Maria.
Yeah, you're actually doing good. Appelqvist.
Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about Maria. She's an amazing woman. She's a PhD, a professional coach, a published author, international speaker, and a podcast host and entrepreneur. We've known each other for a while and spoken before. So Maria helps conscious women and men to find love and relationships. And Maria lives in Sweden and represents the leading edge of personal transformation. She brought professional coaching to Sweden as one of the founders of the national chapter of the International Coach Federation, and she was a pioneer in Europe as the first certified slow sex coach and advanced orgasmic meditation teacher. I'm sure that's piqued your curiosity. Maria was educated by One Taste, a global movement spreading the art and practice of female orgasm. She's now gathering all of her experiences together in a platform for conscious women and men who want to go deep and understand that the next growth happens in relationships. So today we are talking about orgasmic life and orgasmic business. So what does that mean? We are about to find out.
Oh, okay. Can you feel it, Kimberly? I'm so happy to be here. Can you feel it when you saying it? You can just feel the goosebumps in your whole body. That's orgasmic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us, how do you explain or describe orgasmic life?
Yeah.
What is it?
That's a good question. And in particular for a lot of women that find themselves, in particular in the mid-age life, being unorgasmic. A lot of women are actually closing down their sex life. We know that women with aging, there's research on the libido go down, also for men. And I would say it's just a social construction. So it's just a social construction because we are conditioned by our society, how we perceive and think around sexuality. And my main point is that a woman who is sexually free and sexually open, she can achieve anything in her business. So when you're free, you can speak your desires in bed. You can ask for what you want from your lover or lovers or partner or whoever it is. You can ask for what you want. You can also ask for what you want in your business.
Mm-hmm.
So orgasmic for me is really tapping into that energy of aliveness and being able to feel your body. And for me, that's really because I mean, my background is in academia. I was living here, right? I was taking a pride in my intellect and I was disconnected from my body. And I still see actually a lot of women who are in the field, the orgasmic field or field of sexuality, they are still living very much in their mind because they are not aligned with their body. And then we have others who are just their body. So they are just speaking from their body and they are like so sensual and that kind of. So it becomes for us who are very much in our head, they become almost too much because we can't really resonate with that. So for me, the orgasmic means to be able to feel express feelings and feel sensations. And that means when you feel sensations, you also feel what resonates with you or doesn't resonate with you. And you're not afraid of tapping into that, and by having connection to those sensations, we can also release fear, negative emotions. Like I'm saying, being in business is like a journey. So like, here you are and you want to reach here. Like we want to reach somewhere in our business, right? Whatever it is, right? So right now I'm building a platform for people who wants to be conscious in love. Okay, so it's here. It's not yet established, but I'm on my way. And I know that setting up that goal, I will meet different kind of challenges during the way, right? That's for me, the consciousness is to see that I will meet different kind of challenges, and being present in my body, being connected to my body means that I can also feel it. And I can shift it when it shows up. So I can take myself to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. Instead of suppressing it and being cramped down here, and not achieving what I really want, because I can't take the leaps. I'm so disconnected from feeling it. So orgasmic is, and I mean, ultimately, orgasmic is also something about consciousness, right? And one taste is nowadays not even talking in the terms. When I was trained, they talked about it in terms of an orgasmic sexuality practice. Today they speak about it as a consciousness practice. And because here's what happened when you're tapping into your sexuality and your sexual potential. It's consciousness, like it's divine connection, right? But the lower form of sex, like making sex happen, it's the lower form of sex. We don't have to make any like good or bad about that, but that's like two body meets, and they're looking for release, right? A release. So they're looking for that release. But when you're conscious in your sexuality, it's actually on a higher level of consciousness, and in between I'm finding the idea of romantic love coming in. Like, oh, I love you, now I love you, and now we're having sex and we're making love making. But there is also still attachment and jealousy and possessions around that, because we are still trapped in our ego of what it means to be in a romantic relationships, because that's how we are socialized by our environment. That you're supposed to be in love with someone and then you're having sex with that person. And if you don't have someone you love, you don't have sex. So it's all this kind of. But then on a higher level, there's the consciousness, the conscious sexuality, and the conscious practice of orgasmic meditation that I'm also teaching and practice myself. For me, that's bringing me the whole time into the next level of seeing myself, but also that deep inner satisfaction, because the female body is actually craving for orgasm. And when I'm saying orgasm now, when we're craving for orgasm, it's not what we're thinking about the climax part of orgasm, which is like, because what happens when you're having climax is you're out of your comfort zone, you're going over the edge, right? So if you're seeing that orgasm goes up and down, like life, that's why it's orgasmic living. It goes up and down and up. So you have your peaks and you have your valleys. And when your valleys, you're down and you're staying in your bed and you're depressed and you don't want to speak to somebody. In the same way that happens in orgasm, it's like you have plateaus, you have peaks. And when peaks becomes, like when peaks happens, sooner or later you reach a point where you actually have a climax, and then you're reaching an edge. And for men, what happens when they climax is they get tired and then the game is over, right? And for most, this is like a snapshot of like a few seconds experience. But when you have cultivated your body and your sexual and your sensations, for me, if I'm choosing to have a climax, it's never ending. So it's not only that the practice brings the consciousness, but it also opens up for more pleasure, more fun, more joy. And with all that comes communication and being daring and asking for what you want and so forth. And for me, that's really my vehicle in my business. Like, it's my engine.
I love that.
Yeah, and
I feel that many times there are, I work predominantly with women, but in business, there's that kind of whole thing about our desires and our sacral chakra and, you know, that energy of creativity. And in business, we're always creating. And I love what you're saying about the being able to ask for what we want, because so many times I speak with women, and I'm sure you've had the same experience, where they don't actually know what they want.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's because we are disconnected. And here's the thing, there's 3 different types of sexual energies. And one of them, I'm not going to educate about this right now, but one of them actually has in particular big problems to be connected to the desires. So it's like, so if you're one of those sexual energies, you're mostly living up in your head, and there is a lot of analyzing and logical thinking and also evaluating. So if you're like very much in your head and that kind of personality type, much likely you're also disconnected from your desire. I know so many life coaches that like a life coach, you expect them to know what they want, right? Because they're a life coach. Maybe that's why they became a coach in the first beginning, because they wanted to find life purpose. I met so many who are still, after years and years in business, coaching others, still disconnected from their own desires. And I'm seeing they representing that particular mental type of sexual energy. And when I'm seeing it, I'm just thinking like, oh, you should just try orgasmic meditation.
Yeah, I like the sound of you were talking about kind of like sustaining that, I'm going to call it bliss, because I think so often, like, we do have these ups and downs in life, but as you're talking, it's kind of about opening and being more present. And it's, to me, as you were speaking, it was like, how much joy can we stand, right? Can we receive? Because
yeah, and you know, all that came out from the practice. So maybe I should say something about how it all started, because I was the first one being trained outside United States. I was traveling from Sweden to San Francisco, where at that time, and back in 2010, it was the only place where you could go. I was in the first coaching program, and I, like today, if you Google orgasmic meditation, there is videos and instruction videos. You can find information. At that time, there wasn't. So when I came and saw it demonstrated in the room for the first time, I was totally like, my system was shocked. I was about throwing up. I didn't know where to turn myself. I just wanted to escape out of the room. And at the same moment, I realized, like, oh shit, there is something deep here. You have to go into that. Like, and I mean, that's my specialty. Is what I do in my business is helping women and men find their darkest side, their shadows, the parts we don't want to discover, but we have to discover it.
We hold back.
Yeah, because in order go from here to here, you have to face your shadows. You have to go into the dark places. It's part of it's the part of the journey. That's why I'm also saying being in business is my spiritual journey, because it demands from me to always become a better version of myself. Like, if I would have a job, like if I would just have a job, it doesn't force me to become a better version of myself. But my business, since I'm setting up new goals, since I'm setting up new business games, it requires that I'm always becoming a better version of myself. And how do you become a better version of yourself? Well, go in and find and explore the dark places where you haven't been before, because there's where the learning is. And and that's why I was attracted to this practice as a consciousness practice, but also I was looking for what's the next edge, where do I grow next? And from that, I quite already during the first retreat of feeding my physical body now with this orgasmic meditation. It's very structured. It's a 15 minutes practice. Your partner is finding a specific spot on your clitoris and stroking lightly, like on your eyelid, that kind of sense. Up, down, up, down. Like after like a week of being fed with that, I just realized how, when I was on my flight back home to Sweden, I sat down in my chair on the plane. I realized, oh my gosh, I've been through the security gate. I've been in all these lines, and I talk to people. I mean, that's not the person I usually used to be, but I talked to people, I connected to people, I made people laugh. Like even the guy who took my passport and was checking my passport, I made him laugh. And I was thinking, like, this is not the kind of person I used to be. So that was what happened, was like my specific sexual energy type was really like coming out in we're speaking about when our sexuality is toxic. It has these negative consequences of disconnection from desires, or being dissipated and being all over, not being able to focus. And the benefits for me was really, I had a natural, like I saw my natural, like how natural and how easy and fun it was to connect with strangers and make them laugh and having fruitful conversations. And so I just realized that. And then after being a time in Sweden, I could feel on a cellular level, like I was craving for being fed in my body again. And then I came back to a retreat and I was filled up. And I came back to Sweden. I was trying to find partners, and I was exposed to men's shame and fear, and so I was faced by standing there still in my power and asking for what I want, and being rejected and all that. And then I started to realize, Sweden is the land of scarcity. This is the land of scarcity, and United States is the land of abundance. And so it was through experiencing this struggle with finding my stroking partners, finding my asking for what I want, I also learned that, well, here's the fact: most people are living in scarcity and being victim of circumstances, and not asking for what they want, being disconnected from their desires, and they're living this ordinary, mediocre life. And that scarcity, and they live in fear. But then when I came to the land of abundance, I realized that everything is possible and there's no fear, and I ask for what I want and I just go for it. So I was getting this physical experience of abundance versus scarcity. So from that, I formed my whole own teaching, and which I still do, also part of it. Because most people don't have the experience and mental understanding what abundance truly means. I mean, we talk about abundance, but I think it's about money, but abundance is really being so abundant that everything is available to you, and you're in flow with that energy. And for me, that's really being on the orgasmic path.
Beautiful. I love that. I'm just curious about, some of our listeners may not have a partner, and I'm wondering, is there a practice that women can do, or how that would work? Because I'm also getting not quite the same in terms of receiving, but I'm sure there's something that you can share with me.
I know, and I think that's part of. I think that's part of not having a partner is so here's the thing: when people that do the practice, they are basically practicing with, so they tap into the community, and then you train, there is a community, so you can tap in there. but I'm also anticipating, and what I'm building right now is actually part of this is creating retreats for women and training women and actually learning women to how they can actually stroke each other, and you can learn because there's something powerful that when women come together. I was in a entrepreneur journey in Bali for a whole month, and I got the whole group, almost the majority of the group, and we were women. We were actually doing the practice together. We used gloves, and it just started with a midwife. Of course, she was a midwife. She was curious. So it started with her and I. It was, and then she talked about this, like for the others, like how, like really what a great practice it was and how it transformed her, and people could see how it transformed her, and then others wanted to try as well. So I think something like women coming together in some kind of sisterhood, I think that is also something that's the nurturing, and there's of course other ways to nurture ourselves beyond like physical physical, that kind of physical touch. But I think everybody has to find their own way. And I know that the practice of orgasmic meditation is not for everybody, definitely not. But what it gave me was it gave me the physical awareness, so I now can just bring this further also in new knowledge and understanding from the perspective of abundance versus scarcity. I think that's some people say, actually them saying right now, I was getting feedback that most women, they see you so competent and self-sufficient, and like I don't see any vulnerability in you, and even though I can be vulnerable, but I think the feedback here was that there is something like there's this there is no fear in you. And I say, and my response was yes, and there is a reason why there is no fear in me, because I've been doing this advanced practice. I've been cultivating that.
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean, maybe you disagree with this, but in terms of when you were talking about the vulnerability, my sense of it is that it's about being with your vulnerability, because you're making yourself vulnerable. Or you could be there's a lot of charge, isn't there, around that word vulnerability. But I think that opening yourself up in that way to somebody else is about being with your vulnerability, but not fearing being vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. I mean there is a lot of women who actually do this practice, but they are not getting out in public about what they're doing. So there's a lot of people who actually doing the practice, but they are not representing the practice out. And I mean, there was a time where I saw myself being more like I wanted to teach couples, and now it's maybe that's not the focus or part of what's really important to me any longer. But it's I definitely, as a part of my business game, is to create, which is basically the reason why I also want to make money, is to create community centers around the world where people can come and fill themselves up. So when they come to this place, there is a place where you have other people that do orgasmic meditation. So you know that when you're tapping in there, you're tapping into a community where you can stay and you can fill yourself up and you can be with other practitioners. And that's really what I want to create. And for me, since I want to be on the move and I want to have several, that for me, I will have several homes where I can move between. And I know that I always have stroking partners there available. Yeah.
I'm sure that this conversation is going to bring up a lot of beliefs and feelings for people, which I think is great, because it's that awareness of kind of like what's going on within us. And I just wanted to kind of maybe offer a few reflections and also to kind of like bring it back to talking about business and life and the kind of like wider implications. So I know a lot of healing takes place when women are able to receive this kind of nurturing touch. And, you know, that our vagina, our clitoris is somewhere where we can hold a lot of trauma or a lot of pain. So I imagine that there, you know, there's a lot of emotions that are being released and really helping women to be more present.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes. And here's the thing. So it's like peeling onion, but here's the thing. And this is what I learned. And that's why so there was a time we call it oming, when I was like open to om with like, and whoever almost. I become more, today I'm much more concerned of the people who are my strokers, because here's the thing, and in the same way, this is what I do with women. When women come to me for their own VIP day, so it's all about, usually it is about sexual healing. So they have the touch from me. So I'm doing the practice, but in a different forms on them. So it becomes more like a sexual healing session.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is what I learned by when I started up that experience, is that a lot of, if you don't have a stroker who are connected to their heart, like if they're not present, it can actually feel like you're being abused. Like it can be like that's so actually there is a lot of and I now there is so much more people who come to the practice because they were conscious, and now they're looking for this because it's a consciousness practice. But there was a time when, I mean, there was strokers who were in there for other reasons beyond being conscious, just having access to women, and then you can feel that, right? So it's, and I've learned this through being aware of who I was working with. When I was working with women and helping women, I realized this is really about healing. And I know that when I'm stroking a woman, there is a healing happening in that stroking. While if I would receive stroking, like if I would do it together with a man who is stroking me, there might not be healing. There would be other sensations. So so it's that kind of, like, each is very different. And I think when you're having someone who has the capacity to heal, and that's why I think conscious sexuality is really, I think women, the more we grow and work on our personal development, it becomes also more interesting to open up or not only our vagina, but also our womb. And that comes from the healing touch. And when you're doing that kind of work, you want to be sure that people who touch you are people that are really present and really able to hold you in that space. You know, a lot of times when you go to sexuality workshops, for instance, when they do the armoring of your body, if you are around with people who are not capable of creating a safe place for you, it's almost like abuse on your body. So it's I think it's super important to actually be conscious about who you're choosing, and that's why when I've continued my like journey on conscious sexuality, I'm very choosy on which people I'm working with and which people that can touch my body, that I have actually connected with them, and I know they can be present, and they're coming from their heart. And not from others. For me, that's the most important. So, and in that, there is a huge transformation that can happen for women when you're tapping into that ability to be able to receive.
Yeah. So I kind of want to bring it back to business, and how actually being connected with our sexual desire, being connected with our desires, and being able to voice our desires and ask for what we want, to be able to receive what we want in the way that we want it, when we want it, etc. And that whole thing about, I love what you were saying there about that discernment and awareness about who we're connecting with. It kind of, in terms of applying that on a business level, who we want to work with as clients, and who we want to work with as coaches and mentors, and making sure that we have the right fit and that our needs are going to be met. So I think it's kind of like, I'm sure there are a lot of people that will be listening to this thinking, like, well, are we talking about sex and vaginas, and what's that got to do with business and life? And but it's more about this this idea of actually being conscious, being present, being able to ask for what we want, receive what we want, and be with that joy.
And being connected, because if you're disconnected from your sex, like and men, for natural reasons, for them it's more easy to be connected to their sex, because they bring it out every day. They go into the toilet, basically. So for them, from a man, it's easier to be connected to their sex. They are, for natural reasons, that. While women, a lot of women are disconnected from our sex, we're disconnected from our genitals, and again, like so I was speaking about the heart and the importance of coming from the heart, but some people think that power is in your heart, but actually your power is in your genitals. Like there's where you have your sex power. That's where your true power comes from. So being able to listen to what your sex center, what information it gives you, and follow that, that's a guidance. Another part is, actually yesterday we were doing a circle manifestation here. So I put up my plan, like I had a detailed plan for the remaining part of the year. And then my friends, so we both work with frequencies, so like she could pinpoint to something on the plan, like so is there something going on there, and I could take a look and I could feel and take a deep breath and feeling like, is there something there? No. Yes, there was, but it's gone now. Right? So I could feel it. Right? And she was pinpointing me and I was helping her. And then we were actually doing a ritual, a manifestation. So we were putting it out, and we were actually, we were basically vibrating it. Like, and I was in this kind of goosebump electrifying state. There we was with our plan for this year. And I think that's when maybe this is when the feminine, the intuitive feminine, and the goddess comes in, and that's the one running your business and bringing that capacity in, because the logical mind and the masculine part of us will never do that kind of ceremonies. But we were actually doing a very true, and I was not even thinking about it. It's first now when I'm talking about it, that was a true feminine ritual of manifestation and sending the energy into what we're creating in our business. And that comes from being in line with your life force, because sexual energy is your life force.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking about, some of the ancient teachings around sexuality, and people like Napoleon Hill, who taught about transmuting sexual energy or utilizing sexual energy. And in Tantra, people talk about using that sexual energy. And so, we are sexual beings, and we do have this energy of creation and life force within us. And how often that gets shut down, or we don't give ourselves permission to express all of our energy in who we are. Yeah, and so that impacts us not only in our life and relationships, but also with money, with business. Yeah, in terms of the risks that we will allow ourselves to take, or what we perceive as a risk or not, you know, all of that. So, yeah.
And you know, all this, the conversation about transmutation of sexual energy that people have tried to understand Napoleon Hill. And actually, this is part of what I'm speaking about, is basically what the orgasmic practice is. It's that is transmutation of sexual energy. So here it's cultivated, right? So it's cultivated and enhanced, but it's not taking over the edge. So it's released, but it's cultivated. And then, so that means now, like, my body is energized. So now I have a lot of fuel. And then when I'm going out with that for networking or creating or having sales conversations, whatever it is, I'm fueled by that energy. And that is like I was saying before, that it's like my engine in my business is that if the fuel comes from inside me, it's nothing I have to do it because I must do it. It comes from inside of me, and it's natural, and it's in alignment with what I'm doing. And
and so I'm just getting this random thought now about the cat poem when you were talking about the engine, but it's kind of like about having that kind of sense of fulfillment, and feels also like a completeness, like not needing anything, just being full of yourself. And so then when
and that's the abundance. And that's the abundant, right? Like you're full. When you're coming from fullness, you're not coming from scarcity. So just imagine again, like when you're having a sales conversation, if you're coming from scarcity, you have a fear of losing that client. You have a fear that they're going to say no. There is a lot of, maybe not conscious, but subconsciously there is a lot of fear that blocks you from truly connecting with that client, because you want it, because you want the money, because you need the money. So that's the scarcity. When you're coming from abundance, you're coming from fullness. So you're coming from a place of connecting with a person. And when you're coming from fullness, it's like usually it's so aligned. So people usually ask themselves like how they can sign up, like, and how they do sign up. Because it's just pure energy there.
Beautiful. I love that. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to share with us, Maria?
Well, here is the thing. If you think this seems to be interesting and you want to learn more, I actually have a report, like that scientific part of me. I have a report about what women want. This is good also to read for men, and you can find that report, and by that you're also opting in, so you get on my English speaking newsletter and can hear from me more. You find it on the site consciouslovetribe.com, consciouslovetribe.com/gift, I think it is, or you find it on the page gift. There is the report, so you can learn more about the practice, and I have some scientific evidence there that speaks about the importance for cultivating sexual energy.
Beautiful. So my darlings, I hope that this has piqued your interest. I hope that it's got you reflecting on how much joy you allow yourself to receive. And I hope
you sell out yourself in receiving too. Maybe that's a good. I always like to send out questions like, where do you sell out yourself when it comes to receiving?
I just lost my screen then. I got distracted. Where have they gone? So if you want to find out how to stay present with all of this wonderful joy and abundance and your true nature, who you truly are, with your sexual energy, allowing yourself to receive all that you desire, then you'll want to check out Maria's amazing report and find out a little bit more, I'm sure. So thank you so much, Maria. It's been such a pleasure, and really interesting to connect with you and to talk more about this deeper work that you're doing. And until we speak again, my darlings, much love and bye for now.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Wealthy Business Goddess Show. If you've enjoyed the show, subscribe and review our podcast. Sign up to receive your Wealthy Business Goddess resources and join us in the Wealthy Business Goddess community at www.lovekimberly.com/WBG. To find out more about how Kimberly can support you in creating the life and business of your dreams, or to watch the show via video, visit the website at www.kimberlylovell.com.